On the Hinterworldly. Once Zarathustra too cast his delusion beyond humans, like all Hinterworldly. At that time the world seemed to me the work of a suffering and tortured god. Then the world seemed a dream to me and the fiction of a god. Colorful smoke before the eyes of a divine, dissatisfied being. Good and evil and joy and suffering and I and you. Colorful smoke it seemed to me before creative eyes. The Creator wanted to look away from himself, and so he created the world. It is drunken joy to the suffering one to look away from one's suffering and to lose oneself. Drunken joy and losing oneself the world once seemed to me. This world, the eternally imperfect, the mirror image and imperfect image of an eternal contradiction, a drunken joy to its imperfect Creator. Thus the world once seemed to me. So I too once cast my delusion beyond humans, like all Hinterworldly. Beyond humans in truth. O my brothers, this God that I created was of human make and madness, like all gods. Human he was, and only a poor flake of human and ego. From my own ash and ember it came to me, this ghost, and truly, it did not come to me from beyond. What happened, my brothers? I overcame myself, my suffering self. I carried my own ashes to the mountain. I invented a brighter flame for myself. And behold, the ghost shrank from me. Now it would be suffering and torture for the convalesced one to believe in such ghosts. Now it would be suffering and humiliation. Thus I speak to the Hinterworldly. It was suffering and incapacity that created all Hinterworlds, and that brief madness of happiness that only the most suffering person experiences. Weariness that wants its ultimate with one great leap, with a death leap. A poor, unknowing weariness that no longer even wants to will, that created all gods and Hinterworlds. Believe me, my brothers, it was the body that despaired of the body. It probed with the fingers of a befooled spirit on the walls of the ultimate. Believe me, my brothers, it was the body that despaired of the earth. Then it heard the belly of being speaking to it, and then it wanted to break head first through the ultimate walls, and not only with its head, beyond to the other world. But the other world is well hidden from humans, that dehumaned, inhuman world that is a heavenly nothing, and the belly of being does not speak at all to humans, unless as a human. Indeed, all being is hard to prove and hard to coax to speech. Tell me, my brothers, is not the strangest of all things still proven best? Yes, this ego and the ego's contradiction and confusion still speak most honestly about its being. This creating, willing, valuing ego, which is the measure and value of things. And this most honest being, this ego, it speaks of love, and it still wants the body. Even when it poetizes and fantasizes and flutters with broken wings, it learns to speak ever more honestly, this ego. And the more it learns, the more it finds words and honors for the body and the earth. My ego taught me a new pride. I teach it to mankind. No longer bury your head in the sand of heavenly things, but bear it freely instead. An earthly head that creates a meaning for the earth. I teach mankind a new will, to want the path that human beings have traveled blindly, to pronounce it good, and no longer sneak to the side of it, like the sick and the dying out. It was the sick and the dying out who despised the body and the earth, and invented the heavenly and its redeeming drops of blood. But even these sweet and shadowy poisons they took from the body and the earth. They wanted to escape their misery, and the stars were too distant for them. So they sighed, "Oh, if only there were heavenly paths on which to sneak into another being and happiness." Then they invented their schemes and bloody little drinks. Now they fancied themselves detached from this earth, these ingrates. But what did they have to thank for the fits and bliss of their detachment? Their body and this earth. Zarathustra is gentle to the sick. Indeed, he is not angered by their ways of comfort and ingratitude. May they become convalescents and overcomers, and create for themselves a higher body. Nor is he angered by the convalescent when he tenderly gazes upon his delusion and sneaks around the grave of his God at midnight. But to me, even his tears remain sickness and sick body. There were always many sickly people among those who poetize and are addicted to God. With rage they hate the knowing ones and that youngest of virtues which is called honesty. Backward they look always toward darker times, for then, truly, delusion and faith were another matter. Raving of reason was next to godliness, and doubting was sin. All too well I know these next to godliness types. They want people to believe in them, and that doubting is sin. All too well I know also what they themselves believe in most. Indeed, not in hinterworlds and redeeming blood drops, but instead, they too believe most in the body, and their own body is to them their thing in itself. But to them it is a sickly thing, and gladly would they jump out of their skin. Hence they listen to the preachers of death, and they preach of hinterworlds themselves. Hear, my brothers, hear the voice of the healthy body. A more honest and purer voice is this. More honestly and more purely speaks the healthy body, the perfect and perpendicular body, and it speaks of the meaning of the earth. Thus spoke Zarathustra.